Welcome in, Renegades. And we are fresh off of ICPCC 2024. It was the best experience ever. And today I get to do an interview with Jesse the Great. He is a project lead on a project called Personal DAO. He was just kind of explaining it to me. Meta Owl kind of gave me an overview of what they were doing. So I'm going to introduce him. He's going to tell a little bit about himself. And then we're going to get into why the internet computer can make... hold on. Sorry, I changed the name of the title here.
Take your time.
Why the internet computer is the future of the blockchain space. And so let's welcome in Jesse. I just kind of blew this, but that's okay. So we're happy to have you here, man. I'm just kind of struggling. I only got like maybe 10 hours of sleep in the last 4 days before this. So I'm still trying to catch up. But I just want you to introduce yourself, man. It was a pleasure to meet you. Just kind of give a little background about yourself. I know we're both into anime. We just got to talk about that. And that kind of is a good connection. So yeah, just introduce yourself. Let us know how you got into crypto, maybe your background in tech or whatever, and why you built on ICP.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate you you allowing me to come aboard your platform, speak to your viewers.
It's a pleasure.
And share my story. So my name is Jesse D. Williams Jr. I am a software engineer. So how did I get here? I used to want to be a math educator. So I went to undergraduate university to study math. And I was actually licensed to teach math in the state of Illinois once upon a time. After I finished and like did student teaching and everything, I realized that I didn't want to teach in any of the Chicago public schools or any public school for that matter. And I wanted to, further my education. So that's what I did. I went to University of Illinois at Chicago to study a master's in bioinformatics sciences, which is an interdisciplinary study, which is a mixture of biology, mathematics, and computer science. And that's where my software development career began. So during that phase, I was introduced to different programming languages like R and Python. And then, so after finishing the master's, I decided that, I had received enough formal education and I was ready to get into industry. And what I did from there, I got a job as a front end software engineer at a financial asset management firm headquartered in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that's how I ended up here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I live to this day. About a year and a half into working for that financial asset management firm, somebody introduced me to Bitcoin. So this is around, rewind. In 2019, somebody introduced me to Bitcoin. And then about a year and a half into working at that financial asset management firm, at this time, it's around mid 2021. At that time, the internet computer launch came about. The ridiculously high token price had caught my attention. And then the Genesis launch event had kind of held my attention. So I started learning about, the internet computer architecture, and how the system worked. And, it intrigued me. And eventually around September 2021, I broke ground on Personal DAO. So I began coding the Personal DAO project, which at that time I had a completely different idea. The original idea was to create kind of like a journal, that a non-custodial journal that people can own and pass down to their descendants and add to. So kind of like a family history book, a digital family history book. And the way that I ended up getting from that idea to where Personal DAO is today is I had to figure out a way for that digital family history book to be able to be self-sustaining. And quickly, when you start to consider the ways in which you need to make something sustaining in an ongoing basis, you get to the point where you have to introduce some type of financial service,
Right.
because you need to have the money that'll be used to replenish the computational resources that are consumed by this digital platform. You need to have that in the platform itself. And so, fast forward a bit, and I ended up uh, kind of converging on an idea that I believe is so much better than the original idea that I had. And that idea is what I've been executing since then, which is what Personal DAO is the manifestation of. And so, I'll get into I've referenced the idea, but now I'll be more explicit in what is it, right? So what is Personal DAO?
Yeah. What is this, man? Let me know.
So good question. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, jokes. That's funny.
So Personal DAO is it's a DAO, so it's a decentralized autonomous organization, and it's a turnkey DAO. So it's a DAO that users can buy, own, operate, govern, control without the need for any intermediary, but also, like I said, it's a turnkey DAO without the need for any coding experience whatsoever.
So
So
you don't have to launch on the SNS, is what you're saying, to become a DAO. You can have your own personal DAO.
correct, exactly.
Yeah, I
So
love
you keep you following along. So yes, it's not an SNS DAO. It is it's a DAO with its own, with its own architecture, its own consensus protocol. Um, you know, it needed its own architecture and consensus protocol because of the goal that it intends to carry out, which is um, it's intended to be it functions as a non-custodial lending institution. So the DAO has the characteristics that I described to you. It's it's non-custodial. It's no code needed, and anybody can own, operate, and govern it. Those are the characteristics. The features, though, what does it do? What are the functions of it? Um, these DAOs function as a peer-to-peer lending protocol that any person or community or family or organization can kickstart and have where they do lending peer-to-peer just amongst themselves. It's exclusive to them. So personal DAOs are gated DAOs. They are not permissionless. If somebody wants to join a personal DAO, they must receive permission, approval by the community of DAO members that occupy that DAO, that
it.
govern
How do
that.
they get that permission?
So what they would do is they would navigate to uh, that particular DAO's URL, so their web address. Every DAO has its own web address. Every DAO is its own entity. So every DAO has its own web address, its own canisters, its own database. No two DAOs are connected. So if your DAO is mismanaged and for whatever reason, it sputters out, that has no bearing on my DAO and my community. They're their own realms. They exist separately, independently of each other. And
Perfect. That's cool. That's a good idea because that way you can have everybody own a chunk of their own DAO instead of like it being just one big DAO that everybody's connected to the one DAO. So it's basically like the personal DAO is going to be like the whatever you want to call it, the head of everything. And then each one is only going to be connected to that DAO, but not each other. So it's a straight line to each one. And the DAOs aren't connected, but they're all connected to Personal DAO, right?
So close. Each Personal DAO is its own disjoint DAO. So each Personal DAO, there's not just one Personal DAO, there's many. So I can have one, you can have one, you know, mom and pop can have one.
Yeah, but they're all connected to the original project. The original DAO that you guys are building, or
They all are copies of the DAO that we're building.
copies.
So
Okay, that's what I didn't understand. I'm trying to see how they're in
no,
with
good
the
question.
original. So
They're good questions. Yeah, the DAO that we're building, it's replicable. So we're building it in such a way where not just one exists, but we can deploy another one and another one and another one, and all of them can exist on the internet computer simultaneously and in a disjoint fashion. So the
okay.
Personal DAO that we deploy, it looks identical to the one that you'll have.
Okay, I get it now. So go into that. Like, what is the start of this whole thing? I know you have an NFT project right now. Can you tell us how that OG Personal DAO Members Pass is going to be integrated with this, and give a little bit of an overview of the original Personal DAO you guys are making right now?
Okay, yeah. So the before I go into the OG DAO, to answer your question with the NFTs, right? So each one of these DAOs, there's two ways for a person to get entry to a Personal DAO. They
Okay.
can either one be admitted entry by the DAO's administrator, or they can two be admitted into the DAO by holding a NFT from a canister that is sanctioned by the DAO to serve as an entry pass. So I'll rephrase that a bit. A DAO, a Personal DAO can, as a community, they can vote to elect an NFT canister or several NFT canisters that serve as entry passes to this DAO. And so anybody who holds one of these NFTs, they get automatic entry into this otherwise uh, restricted DAO. But as an NFT holder of one of the NFTs that's sanctioned by the DAO, you have access, whereas other people wouldn't. And so what we're selling, going back to your question of what are the OG DAO members pass NFTs that we're selling on Toniq Marketplace, those NFTs are NFTs that you can purchase, and you will, as a holder of those NFTs, you receive access to our Personal DAO, the OG Personal DAO, which is the first Personal DAO that has been deployed to the internet computer. So the first of many, recall. So right now, where we're at in development, we have a minimum viable product just about ready, maybe about a month or so away from release. We're at a point where we got to go through, remove some of the friction that we identify, clean up some of the bugs that we notice, and then add some features to remove some pain points that we've been able to identify as an internal team. And so that'll take us about a month and a half, maybe 2 months max. And then after we finish that, we will then be opening up that DAO to all of the NFT holders of our NFT that is now for sale on Toniq.io, Toniq Marketplace.
Okay, let me get that link here so that people, yeah, just go ahead, keep going. Give us a little bit of an overview of kind of how you guys decided that you were going to create this kind of DAO structure. I've never heard of it before. Did you hear about this from somebody, or like what was the motivation for this project? I know you were talking about a little bit about how you got into ICP in your background, but why did you decide to do like this DAO type structure are you all for decentralization? Because it sounds like your project is going to be very decentralized. And I also want to know if you guys are planning on getting a token.
Yeah, so yeah, decentralization is a very big priority for me personally. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I've experienced the friction that entrepreneurs, small business owners and operators experience within the traditional financing sector. A lot of people who work 9 to 5 jobs, they may never encounter this. I've never encountered this until I actually became an entrepreneur. But whether it's a small or large financial institution, receiving lending services is extremely scrutinous, extremely difficult, and it's often discouraging to try to receive these services um, as a small business owner. uh, you quickly find that there's definitely a double standard when it comes to lending to different lending to citizens. If you have a deposit, a check being deposited from a company that is well recognized every month, then receiving lending services is much more simple, much more easy. But for those of us who do not have a check that comes from a well-known institution, um, because we've started our own businesses, it's a different story. So part of what made me want to really double down on creating a peer-to-peer lending institution was sheer necessity, my own necessity, but not just my own. I do know a lot of people from around the world. I love to learn languages. I'm I love the Romance languages, so Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and so I get to meet people specifically from Latin America, from developing countries, and I meet them often. And I ask them, what does the day to day look like for them? What does it look like if somebody wants to buy a house, if somebody wants to buy a car, if somebody needs any sort of financing in their day to day lives? And people from developing nations, they report to me that getting access to credit is something that's nearly unheard of. I know in the Dominican Republic, if you want to purchase a house here in the United States, we're required to have 20% down, unless you're like a first time home buyer and you may qualify for different credits and stuff like that. And you may not have to put 20 down, you may have to put 10 or something like that. But that's unheard of in the Dominican Republic and in places like Costa Rica and other developing nations. That's unheard of. They have to put 50% down, and they have to be able to uh, stand up to the amount of scrutiny that their financial institutions place on them. So access to credit is not just difficult for entrepreneurs here in the United States, but it's difficult for people in developing countries, people in Nigeria, South Africa, Uganda, places like this where they don't have sophisticated financial institutions that are comparable to the ones that you may find in the United States, in the UK, in Spain, in these more developed nations. And so uh, me building a network of financial institutions where these financial institutions are not owned by some sort of overseer or overlord, but instead they're owned by the community of people that actually rely on them. That's something that was, very, very, very near and dear to my cause, um, and it's something that I want to see exist in the world. And like they say, if you want something done, you got to do it yourself. So uh, shout out to Vivienne. She's
Vivian, she's a longtime supporter of like every project. Great lady. So bro, I'm looking for your project on Toniq on the launch pad. It's not there. I had to literally go into your profile to get it. It's not showing. Let me just share my screen with you. Maybe I'm in the wrong place, but
Here,
I don't see it on Toniq anywhere, my friend.
I see it. I went right to it. Go to
Really? Hold
yeah.
on.
I
So
was,
this is the launch pad, right?
yeah. Now go to. It should be there somewhere. Scroll up. Go to in progress.
Okay.
Right. That is weird.
It's
If I
not here.
scroll up one more time. I saw scroll to, I don't know where it is right now.
Yeah, bro, I searched everywhere.
And then you see that little, go up a little bit. You see that little arrow on the right?
Yeah, yeah.
Try that. I don't know. I went right to it.
It's not here.
I can
The link is here though, so that doesn't matter. I got the link, so you
but
guys can use this link to get over there. I
okay.
figured it out, but maybe I don't know if you know Easy Steve or Bob Bodley, but I would definitely ask them, because what that's going to do is stop people from seeing your project that are just searching through Toniq. They'll have to have the link in order to buy your purchase the NFT. So definitely work on that, because that's an Entrepot issue or Toniq issue. That's nothing you can do about it. But I can reach out to Easy Steve for you if you'd like.
I can reach out to them. I have an open
Okay.
line of communication with them, and
Cool.
they've been really really responsive and helpful throughout the whole
Oh,
process.
I mean, yes, bro. That's why I want to launch on Yuku with our new music collection on our NFT. But the experience that I've had with Entrepot and Toniq is so great. And anytime I have any issue at all, whether it's imaginary in my head or if it's actually an issue, they're responsive, and they've helped us a lot. So I like this project. Let's actually look at these real quick. Let me go back here into that. And as you see, here it is. Welcome to the official Personal DAO OG Pass sale. So this is one, you can get 1 for 5 ICP. And there is 44 available. 106 have already been grabbed up. So I recommend you guys to get over here and get you a few of these.
While supplies last.
Yeah. I mean, you can buy 1 for 5 ICP. Is that all you can buy, or can you go in and buy another one? Is it just a limit of 1?
No, you could buy as many as you could buy as many as you want. There's no limit on how many a single account is able to buy. So some people have already bought 2 and 3. I think the record is 4. I think somebody bought 4.
I need to get 1.07 ICP, and then I'm going to pick up one. I just hope that people don't scoop them all up before I do, because I want to have my own personal DAO. Because when you explained it to me, the whole I don't know if we've gone into it a lot, but you were saying each are a replica canister. It's your own DAO, and you need to have these NFTs as a gated community, and it isn't just these OG passes, right? That's just for your for Personal DAO's Personal DAO, and then Bitcoin Renegade could have his own Personal DAO, which people that hold the Renegade ICP Renegades NFTs will be able to join that exclusive community. Now, tell me, you said that you can earn income or do trades and stuff on that. Give me a little overview of exactly, not only as a founder, what I can do, build community, but what is my community going to be able to do in there? Are they going to vote on stuff? What kind of achievements can they unlock in this this kind of new infrastructure that you guys have deployed into the crypto spaces I've never seen before?
Am I able to share my screen?
Yep, just put it on there and I can approve it.
Okay, here, let me share my screen, and then what I'll do is I'll share the whole window. I don't have any anything crazy there. Okay, so this is my screen, right?
Yep.
So this is the OG Personal DAO. This is the master copy. So notice these two, they look identical. They have two separate URLs. Notice here too. So this is the login page. So when you first when you first navigate to the website, because you haven't logged in yet, this is what you're presented. On the login page, you get a little bit of metadata. You get the canister balance for the front end canister. The front end canister is where the user interface's code is housed. You get the canister balance for the back end canister. The back end canister is like the brains of the operation. You get the canister balance for the treasury canister. That's where the DAO's assets will lie. And then you get the canister balance for the manager canister. The manager canister is responsible for upgrading the DAO. Now, each one, these are two different DAOs. So these have two different front end canisters, different back end canisters, different treasury canister, different manager canisters. They're two separate entities. They look alike, but that's it. The data that's stored in them, the community that occupies them, and
it's all unique.
It's all unique from that point on. So notice that these two have two different canister balances. This one has just under 82 trillion cycles.
Another one's like 98 or something.
Exactly. And that's just to drive home the point that it is unique. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna log in, and then I'll show you what it looks like from there. Now, I do want to this is the dashboard of the DAO. So this is where you see more specific data. So this is where you'll see what the canister ID is for your front end canister, back end canister, treasury, and manager canister. Again, you see the cycles balances. You can see how many cycles this application, this DAO, has burned over the last 24 hours. So this one has burned 0.03 trillion cycles over the last 24 hours.
Oh, that's cool that it updates you on how much it's using. I like that.
Yeah, it's necessary. Like, people need that feedback in order to properly manage it. Because once it's yours, you're responsible for making sure that these cycles are here. Like, that's not my responsibility, because I'm not the proprietor of it. You are. So yeah, you need that feedback, and so because you need it, you get it. If you extrapolate this out, right, to about a month, that would be about 0.9 trillion cycles, which is about $1.20 a month to operate. So it's not expensive to operate it at all. So here is where you see the different proposal types.
Okay, can you explain that? So these proposals, like a personal DAO, right? So when you vote, how does that work? Like, you have a proposal, it's not on the SNS. So how does that kind of work, where you propose these things and let the community engage and kind of decide the future? How does that work?
So this thing has its own consensus algorithm. The SNS is that's DAO tooling that has a certain consensus algorithm. This one has its own. So how that works is people submit a proposal. So this little button down here, right now, it's not the best color. I'll be changing the color. This is some of the things that I gotta fix before.
Yeah, that's just small though. That's fine.
But we create a proposal. I'll say add an administrator, right? So I make a proposal to add an administrator, and I submit it. And so now I just, as a DAO member, I submitted a proposal, and now that proposal it pops up as an active proposal, meaning that it's still able to be voted on.
And how do people vote on that? Can they just vote if they hold that that NFT, or?
So they gotta have. So good question. That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked. So to have voting power within the DAO, you have to stake within the DAO's neurons. So you have to stake ICP. So this DAO is capable of staking neurons.
What?
The DAO is capable of staking neurons. So
What?
this DAO has one neuron that it is staking, but it can have
Bro,
multiple. It can
that
have.
is so cool, man.
Thank you, thank you. I was hoping that people, people would take kindly to it.
Well,
And
you're talking my language now. Like staking is my jam, bro. So like actually seeing something outside of the SNS that is capable of doing something of this magnitude, bro, it's groundbreaking.
and
Really is.
not only can it stake, but it incentivizes the DAO members to stake, because by staking in this in the DAO's neurons, that's how you get voting power over this DAO. So if you want to be able to control, have some influence over the decisions made within this DAO, you have to contribute to one of the DAO's neurons.
Right.
And this DAO is coded so that it keeps track of who contributed what, and depending on how much you contributed, that's how much voting power you get. So right now, there's only one neuron here, but as a DAO member, I could submit a proposal to create another neuron. I don't want to do that because I don't want to
Right.
create another neuron right now, but I could. And once I do it, and once it's approved, then it would pop up just below here, and I would have two neurons. And whatever I contribute to these two neurons would be used to calculate how much voting power I have within this DAO. So
So now, how does it work? So why is it beneficial to stake over here than like on the NNS? Is there reward? Do you give rewards to the people? Because with the Neuron, you guys are collecting ICP rewards, right? Is there a way that people earn ICP as well, or does this just they're buying their voting power?
So both.
Oh,
So you do get rewards.
okay.
These neurons. So if you look at this neuron, you get to see some of the data, like the voting power that this neuron has. You see how much ICP is staked in the neuron. You see how much you have staked within the neuron, and then you can see like its state, whether it's locked or unlocked or dissolving, and you can see the dissolve delay and all that other stuff. But
Okay.
here you can see the maturity, and this maturity, once it reaches 1.05 ICP, you can then spawn that maturity, and you can specify that you do want to spawn it. And when you spawn that maturity, what's going to happen is this DAO is coded to keep track of who contributed to this neuron. Right now, there's only one contributor, myself. But
Right.
if you were to come in and you contributed to this neuron, it would be reflected here. This pie chart would show that my principal has staked one ICP, and then your principal, if you stake a half ICP or something, it'll show that you staked a half ICP, and
And
then
so it distributes the rewards depending on how much you contribute to the DAO, to the
exactly.
Neuron.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Cool.
so when you hit spawn maturity, and that maturity is spawned and then dispersed, what would then happen is you, as one of the neuron contributors, your liquid ICP balance would then increase in proportion to how much maturity you retrieved. And then from there, you could withdraw it, or you could choose to restake it. Now, what are the benefits? You asked me, what's the benefit of staking here as opposed to staking in the NNS?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's one that exists at the time of the minimum viable product, and then there's another benefit that we'll be adding immediately after releasing the MVP. We'll be working on adding the next benefit. So I'll describe the first benefit here. On the NNS, when you stake ICP, anybody who staked in a neuron knows this. You can't withdraw your rewards until your neuron's maturity reaches 1.05 ICP in value. Now,
I get where you're going.
what does that mean? That means that what does that mean in real dollar values? That means that if you take $1,000 and you stake it in an 8-year neuron, that means it'll take you about a month before your rewards are enough for you to be able to withdraw them.
Right.
That's a long time, and that's a lot of money, and that's a large commitment for most people, for myself included, right? So, and I'm from a place where we have $20 an hour minimum wages. Now, people who live in developing economies, I would imagine that type of commitment for that little reward would be even more unfeasible, untenable for them. And so when you stake in a DAO's neuron, you don't just stake alone. You don't have to by yourself. You don't have to come up with enough ICP, and you don't have to stake enough ICP to get that 1.05 ICP
Yeah,
worth of.
because it's a collective effort at that point. So everything within the DAO, it just has to have a total value of 1.05 ICP, and then it splits it. So, like you said, you got 0.02, I think, up there, and so that would be able to be dispersed right now because it reached that minimum threshold as a DAO.
Yep, exactly. There you go. Now that's the benefit of staking here as opposed to the NNS. That's the benefit as it exists within the minimum viable product. So when this
Yeah,
thing,
but hold on, before you go, I'm gonna add, like, I don't know if this was your second point or not, but you also get to have your own personal DAO, like if you're a creator, and you also get to be a part of this community, and really decide what happens. So I think that's another benefit of staking over here, that
yep,
it's actually something that you can build your own DAO if you want, right? You could launch your own NFT and then create this yourself. So I think that's another benefit.
that is another benefit, and that wasn't the one that I was going to say next though. So I'm glad you pointed that out
Yeah,
because
no, it's because that's what I see here, man. I see it like this. I can't believe I didn't know what you guys were doing. I knew what Personal DAO was, but like you said, you're building in kind of stealth. And so like you're coming on here sharing all this alpha with us. And like I'm hooked now. Like I said, I need like 1.07 ICP and I'm buying one. Like I want to do it now, but we're live. I'm gonna do it as soon as we get off here though. But yeah, go ahead, continue. Sorry, I'm getting excited, bro.
you good. Excuse me. All right. Excuse me. I'm over here dying. All right. So yeah, right. So as I pointed out, you don't have to stake alone. You don't have to depend on your own staking power in order to reach that 1.05 threshold needed in order to remove your rewards. You get to lean on your team, and as you pointed out, you don't have to. You also get, by staking over here, you get voting power over this community tool. Now, the third benefit, and it's not available yet, but this is what we'll be working on immediately after the MVP. So the next thing after the MVP is released, what I'm going to do is add the lending protocols. And what that'll do is it'll allow people who have access to this DAO to borrow liquid ICP using their neuron stake. So the ICP that they've staked in these neurons, they'll be able to use that as collateral in order to secure a loan of liquid ICP. Now, what that means is all of the value that you lock within these neurons, if it's in an NNS, you can't never really access it. You can access the rewards, or you can hit the dissolve delay and wait the 8 years until it dissolves, and then you can access the value. But that's it. Here, though, if you stake in a personal DAO neuron, your ICP stake, let's say you stake 100 ICP in one of these, you can then say, hey, I have 100 ICP staked. I would like to borrow, let's say, 80 ICP from somebody, liquid, and I'll use my 100 ICP that I have staked as collateral. If
Okay.
I go ahead, what's your question?
No. I'm just following along because that to me it's like DeFi built into a DAO, and I've never heard of that.
That's exactly what it is. It's DeFi built into it. And so now these neurons have an extra layer of security. They are now resources that allow you to secure loans. So now it's not so much of a commitment. It's not such a outlandish commitment to go and stake, $10,000 worth of value in an 8-year neuron. If you know that $10,000 worth of value that you have staked does several things. One, it produces rewards on a near daily basis or a daily basis. Two, it gives you voting power over this community tool. And three, it acts as a secure line of credit for you to be able to secure loans. You can then borrow using your neuron stake as collateral. And because it's still your neuron stake, it's still producing rewards. And those rewards can actually be used to service the loan. So not only does this neuron, when you stake here, not only does it act as a way to secure a loan, not only does it act as a guarantee for a loan, it also acts as a loan servicing tool so that the interest that is accrued from that loan, you never have the burden of it. You essentially get a zero interest line of credit
Wow.
that you can then pay back at a rate that is that is agreed upon. And so that's the next thing that we'll be working on immediately after releasing an MVP. Um,
Can you can you explain that a little bit more? I'm not completely understanding how it can be zero interest and then but it's a amount you agree upon.
so yeah, it's effectively zero interest. So it's actually interest being paid. So when you borrow, unless it's like from a friend who doesn't care to charge you interest.
Okay, so it essentially could be a zero interest rate.
No, so yes, it could be, but what I'm saying is because when you borrow the ICP, your neuron is paying for the interest. Now
How
you
does it
don't
pay for that? What do you mean? So just out of the balance in your neuron,
your neuron produces rewards, and then
and it pays for it out of the rewards?
the rewards are then used to pay the interest that your loan is accruing. So here, let's use a more solid example. Let's say you and me were a part of this DAO. I stake 100 ICP in the DAO, and you loan me 80 ICP against, and I use that 100 ICP as collateral. If I don't pay it back, if I default, then you now get my 100 ICP neuron stake. It's no longer going to be recorded in the DAO as belonging to me. It's now going to be recorded in the DAO as belonging to you if I don't pay you back. Now, as until I pay you in full, uh, all the way up until I pay you in full, I'm gonna be accruing interest. We agree on an interest rate. If we say, a 5% annualized interest rate or 1%, or if we're friends and we say 0%, then that's cool too. But realistically, I'm gonna owe you some interest. That interest, rather than me having to work extra hard and come up with that interest, because now I don't owe you 80 ICP, I owe you 80 ICP plus interest. Rather than me having to come up with, the 80 ICP plus interest, rather than me having to do that, my neuron that I have as collateral is producing rewards. Those rewards are then being used to pay you the interest that would otherwise be accrued. And anything over the interest is being used to pay down my principal. So now that 80 ICP, let's say my rewards are earning me 1 ICP per day, but I owe you a quarter ICP in interest for every week that I haven't paid it back. Right? That's a pretty big interest rate. But I'm gonna use these numbers just because they're cleaner.
Okay.
Um, my 1 ICP a day, 7 ICP per week, is now being used to pay you back that quarter ICP per week that I owe you in interest, and then the rest of it I can take and use it to pay down the rest of the principal that I owe you, or I can take it out and continue to do with whatever.
So that'd be like 27 ICP, because 0.25 a week would be 2 ICP, or wait, 1 ICP, and then 28 for the month. So you basically get 27 ICP in profit after your interest is paid.
At those rates, right?
Yeah,
at those rates.
That rate you said, yeah.
With the figures that exactly. So, yeah, it's a tool that'll be able to be used to help business kind of flow a little better, right? Like
I love it, man. I never knew that this kind of thing was possible, that you could not only have a DAO, but you can participate in DeFi as well as staking. You have basically combined all of the coolest features, or most of the coolest features, of the internet computer into this project. I am beyond impressed. You guys just keep doing what you're doing. I guess it's good for people to build behind the scenes, because then you get this kind of really cool stuff that comes out. I've never seen it in any other blockchain. I've looked far and wide searching projects. You guys are doing something very original, something that's needed in the space. And I can't wait to see what you guys do with this thing, man. Like, I love Meta Al. He's a great guy. I'm so excited to see what you guys built over here. Now I'm getting to know you. You love anime, so I mean, this is just cool, man. Like, this is fun.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I was able to, here, I'll stop sharing. Yeah, I'm glad I was able to get the opportunity. Like I said, we have been building in stealth, and it's something about me. I don't like to we haven't raised any money from the community up until now. And the reason we did that is because I don't like to promise until I'm confident that I can deliver. We had a few.
It happens.
Stuff happens. And if I go ahead and accept, people's investments, and then something happens that causes me to not be able to, make good on my promise, then now I look like an asshole. So before we did the NFT sale, I wanted to have the vast majority of the minimum viable product completed. I wanted to have it at a point where we could actually be confident that we're going to deliver what we promise. And I can say that with confidence today, we will be delivering what we promised. You all got to see the work. I'm not just describing it to you, I'm actually showing it to you. That's work that's been done. And the best part is it's not one single DAO. So everything I showed you, I can replicate that, deploy it to the internet, and the next person, the next community leader, the next organization lead, whoever, can purchase their own DAO, kickstart their own community, and replicate everything that we're about to do. So the first personal DAO, those NFTs that you all will be buying from Toniq marketplace, they'll give you access to that DAO that I just showed you, that specific one. That one is facilitated by us, the founding team. It's the first personal DAO that's going online. It's the first of many. Our goal is to have an entire ecosystem of personal DAOs that are conducting lending within the personal DAOs, but also across personal DAOs. So if my personal DAO is pretty big, I'm from I've managed to accrue enough liquidity within my DAO to where I can afford to lend to the people within my DAO, and I can afford to lend to other personal DAOs so that they can then have liquidity that they can then lend out to other people.
So how are those canisters going to be connected?
So the canisters are not connected. That's the point. They shouldn't be connected, because if you have that interconnectedness, then you have the possibility for somebody to be able to perform a mass, like a mass breach. If somebody
So that's what you were talking about earlier, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to understand how you can, not having the same canisters, that just kind of blew my mind a little bit. How are you able to lend on another DAO? How it seems like that would be impossible.
Good question. So you, as you know, Bitcoin Renegade, me and you know each other. I invite you to my DAO.
As
I
an
got,
administrator.
as not even, not necessarily, right? You can just be, you know, somebody in the DAO who come there just to receive lending services, borrow.
Oh, so what would happen is from another community, they go to your community to lend and borrow?
To borrow, exactly. And
Just
then
to borrow.
or to lend if you want to make money. But
Okay.
thinking of it, so think about how banks work, right? Because this business model that I'm describing, we didn't invent this. Banks already do this. Banks, you got the Federal Reserve, they lend to Chase Bank. Chase Bank, they lend to Chase Bank at some low interest rate. Chase Bank then takes that money and they lend it out to smaller community banks at some greater interest rate. Those community banks then take that money and they lend it out to community organizations and community members at some greater interest rate. At each level of that progression, the interest rate increases a little bit, and whichever business is operating at that level, they make money by borrowing at some interest rate and lending at some greater interest rate and keeping the spread. So we intend to create that same exact type of ecosystem, except rather than it being facilitated through traditional finance banks, which have all of the regulatory overhead that comes with it, all of the the centralized custodial flaws that come with it. We want to remove all of that so that instead of it costing $2.5 million to kickstart a bank so that you could make a living on this business model, instead of it costing that, it just costs you however much we choose to sell these DAOs for, and it costs you the $1.25 a month worth of cycles that you have to you know, the $1.25 worth of cycles that it costs a month to operate it. So this way, somebody who is in a developing country, what they can do is they can come to us and say, hey, I got my personal DAO. Now I need to borrow some money. What I'm going to do is lend that money to my community. I'm the person from my community who knows how to use the IC. I'm the one who, you know, who has the skill set and the knowledge to be able to found a personal DAO. I'm going to use that, leverage my knowledge to purchase a personal DAO from you. I'm going to receive a loan from you. And then I'm going to, as a community leader within my community, I'm going to onboard other people from the real world to my personal DAO so that I can then offer them financing at a larger interest rate. So I borrow from you at 1%, I lend to them
At 2%.
and I keep the 1%. And so that's the ecosystem that we want to build. And that starts with the first OG personal DAO. We do this right. We bring the people in, we galvanize our community. And within 2 years, we can begin within 2 to 3 years, we can have this ecosystem built out just as I just described to you. So that's the overall goal. That's where we're going with it. That's what I aim to see, you know, realized. And you know, that's that's what we're looking to recruit, you know, more members of the community, people who believe in this vision and want to see it come to fruition, and people who would like to be able to have this source of revenue for not just themselves but for whatever community they wish to serve. Then, you know, we'd love to have you. You could start by purchasing the DAO members pass NFT from Toniq, and then from there, you know, we'll keep it moving.
Did you ever think about making a token instead of like just staking ICP? Like, or is there even a way to do that with the kind of infrastructure that you have?
Yeah, so that's a good question too. So all of these DAOs, remember I said that each one is disjoint. Now,
Okay.
there is some infrastructure that they all mutually use. That infrastructure is used to deliver the upgrades. So when these DAOs are upgraded, what happens is the manager canister of your particular DAO, it calls out to another another canister that is storing the latest version release. It
Okay.
pulls those updates into your manager canister, and then from there it installs those updates to all of your DAO's canisters. So your DAO's backend canister, user interface canister, treasury canister, and so on. That canister that's storing the updates, it's also responsible for replenishing the cycles balances for the DAOs. When the DAOs run low and somebody submits a proposal to take some of the money from the treasury to purchase more cycles, what happens is it calls that same canister that stores the upgrades. So that infrastructure that all of these DAOs, that this ecosystem is reliant on for receiving upgrades and for receiving cycles replenishment, that infrastructure, we plan on SNS launching that. And when we launch that, that's when we'll have a personal DAO token. And we plan on airdropping, distributing that token by distributing it directly to the personal DAOs that have already been deployed in the ecosystem. So that way we have a means by which we can conduct a fair launch. And that way we have the decentralization of this core infrastructure that all of these DAOs ultimately rely on for receiving upgrades. So we do plan on, to answer your question, we do plan on launching a token. The token will correspond, will come as a result of decentralizing that core infrastructure that all of these personal DAOs rely on for receiving upgrades and cycles.
Will it be added to the DeFi protocol that you guys have built within?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Man, that's awesome. And you'll be able to like stake it on there as well, or ICP.
Yep.
Oh, man, I'm so glad we did this.
Yep.
We're getting to about an hour now. If you have anything that you would like to, mention before you go, now would be the time.
Yeah. So, come Wednesday, I'm having I'm gonna have a town hall meeting, the first one, right? We launched the NFT sale on Friday, and the ICPCC event has been going on. Now that things are kind of calming down, my next step is to the new people that came into the community. What I want to do is establish a regular cadence by which we will communicate. Of course, you all are welcome to drop into the Discord server and ask me questions on X and everything. But because I'm developing, and because it's a lot of you all, and we're a small team, sometimes that stuff could possibly be missed. And so in order to prevent questions from being missed and correspondences from being missed, what I want to do is establish a weekly progress report / Q&A session. We're trying out Wednesdays for doing this. And so this Wednesday will be the first one, Wednesday at noon Central Time, which is 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and 10 a.m. Pacific Time, and then I believe 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Wednesday we're gonna have the first one. So if you all have any questions, any further questions for me, join the Discord server and drop by the first weekly town hall / progress report that I'll be hosting on my Twitter, on a live Twitter Spaces this Wednesday at noon Central.
Let me share your Twitter here, and then I'll put it in the description after the video too, just in case anybody wants to go over there and get ready for that space, because they can set a reminder. Has it already been posted yet over there?
Yep, it's been posted.
Perfect. So here's his Twitter handle right here. You guys go give him some love over there. Jesse the Great with an A right there, and then an underscore at the end.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. No, thank you. Like, Meta, why didn't you tell me what you were building on? He kept it under wraps. But I love it, man. Like, all of this stuff, like, it was hard for me to understand everything, but you're a teacher, bro. I can tell, because like the way that you explain things, like a 5-year-old could understand it. Like you just have that way about you, bro. You should still teach no matter what you do, man. You're a teacher. You're a born teacher.
It's come in handy, and I'm glad, you know, I would never take that experience away. I'm so glad that I did it because it helped me, it kind of helped me read faces. I can kind of tell when I'm losing people.
Right. Me too. Yeah. Yeah.
I know not to speak too fast, and you know, I know not to deliver too much at once. Like
See,
even
that's
now,
what I need to work on. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't you know, I haven't had any, you know, criticism of your explanation. Nothing comes to mind, but
Man, we just do the best that we can, and I'm kind of more of a hype guy, but it's good to see the brilliant minds. That's why I do this, bro. This is why I do interviews, because I am so shocked with some of the things that are not only come up with but implemented and strategically developed behind the scenes, and then it comes out and it's just like a shock to everybody. They're like, "Wow, you know, like this is what we need here, and we didn't even know it yet."
yeah,
Cool.
it's been on my mind. So
All right, man. Well, we're gonna call it a day. I want to thank you again. One more question though. You live in Milwaukee. Did you go to the ICPCC meetup in Milwaukee?
yeah, I was there the whole time. I was actually I was in the studio on the day of the live event. My voice was shot at the time. Uh and so I didn't really get to speak that much in the studio, but fortunately the next day we did do some interviews, and those interviews are being edited. The interviews are from the same studio that Kyle emceed the ICPCC event from. It's at the same table, same
Huh.
setup. And so the interview will come out whenever the editor finishes editing the interviews. I'll be posting them on all my platforms and sharing them with everybody. So look forward
Nice.
to it.
So definitely go follow him on Twitter for not only that interview with the swap that we got that out of you at the end. I'm glad, and then also for the Twitter Space Town Hall Wednesday at noon
Central.
Central Time,
Yep.
1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific.
And 11
So
a.m. Mountain.
Meta drops the alpha at the end. Great interview, guys.
Thank you, Meta.
All right, guys. That being said, goodbye and good ICP. Bam.
Peace.
Later.